This is a 2026 Hyundai IONIQ 9, a full-size SUV that's aimed at the luxury segment and an EV takeover. And this is actually longer than a full-fat Range Rover, and it's the sister car of the now much-loved Kia EV9. This one's kind of geared towards being a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more refined, and a little bit more classy. So what do you think? I'm going to take you on a full tour of this car, and I'm going to get out on the road to see if those claims are met and see if at the sort of £65,000 starting range, this is actually a good buy in 2026. So stay tuned and let's take a look around. But first, if you're looking to buy or sell a car, then I've got you covered. Please check out my links in the description below where you can see links to Players Cars Premium, our dealership partner, where we can source any car for you and offer you low finance, all through WhatsApp, no pesky emails, and free home delivery too. Or if you're looking to sell a car, you can do that through my CarWow link, and that will help out the channel and get you a nice easy sale straight to your door for purchase. So what are you waiting for? You want a new car? You want to sell your car? Links below. So pricing starts here in the UK at around £65,000 for the entry-level premium car, which is a rear-wheel drive powertrain with 218 horsepower, 0 to 60 in around 9.4 seconds, so perhaps a bit sluggish for this size and weight of car. Entry-level cars come with heated and ventilated front seats as standard, 3-zone climate control and dual 12.3-inch curved displays, heated steering wheel, 19-inch alloys, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, and Hyundai's full driver assist suite. All models come with a 110 kilowatt battery, with the longest range being about 385 miles on the rear-wheel drive variant. Stepping up to around £73,000, you get the ultimate trim, which is the mid-range car, an all-wheel drive 307 horsepower drivetrain, which is much better suited to this in my opinion, and that has a really generous spec in my opinion. It's probably the sweet spot in the range. Upgraded to 20-inch alloy wheels with new intelligent front lighting system, pure leather seats, electric steering wheel adjustment with Bose audio system that has active noise control for a quieter cabin, head-up display, surround view monitor, which is the 360 cam with blind spot cameras when you indicate, and remote parking, digital center mirror, panoramic roof included in this trim as well, and power folding third row seats with ventilation in the rear. So that's a significant upgrade in my opinion, but it is a big step up in price as well. The top end car is called the Calligraphy Performance. This is the one I have here, which is an all-wheel drive 427 horsepower drivetrain. So this one is much faster, around 5.2 seconds to 60, and the range tends to be around the sort of 330 mile range mark. I've been getting more like 300, but yeah, this is a much faster, much more performance oriented version of the car, and it does also have the option for a 6-seat version, which is the one I have here with captain swivel chairs in the back, which I'll show you in a moment. That's £78,500. In terms of options, there are premium paint options, and then this one here is matte paint at £1,200. It's very, very nice and really sets the car off, I think. And there are the option of digital side mirrors as well, but I would skip on those personally. Supports fast charge as well, so 10 to 80% in around 20 minutes at high power public charges. So it is faster charging than the EV9, and also that little bit more comfortable as well. So yeah, I think in terms of specification then, probably the mid-level ultimate trim is the way to go for most people, but obviously if you can splash out on this high-end one with all the options, it definitely looks the part. So this paint that you see on this one here is Nocturne Grey Matte, and it is an absolutely fantastic finish. It's not going to show up too well, and you'll be able to see that it does get very dirty very quickly, but you might be able to see just some of that metallic flake in the paint there. So it's a matte metallic finish, and it really, really looks the part. As you can see though, it does show up the dirt particularly well, which is a bit of a shame, but it is a very sunny day today, so it's going to accentuate it just a little bit. But I think this thing looks really, really mean on the road. I think it's a fantastic looking car, and it's definitely a little bit more classy in my opinion than the equivalent Kia EV9. I think it's just got less of that kind of aggressive styling. It's a little bit more traditional in terms of the design of the wheels and just the curves around the car. I actually think this looks more exciting than the current Range Rover, and it is actually around, as I mentioned, the same size, if not slightly bigger than the full fat Range Rover. It's not quite as wide, but it is longer. But yeah, let's take a look at some of these features here. So you can see these front lights have the Hyundai kind of block design. They've got animations and a light bar that runs across the front, and indicators integrate, which is really cool. And down at the bottom here, you might be able to see the radar is actually integrated into this lower area. And these ducts down here are actually functional as well. These will open up for kind of cooling when necessary, and then of course you've got the actual main lights down there as well. Everything's just really smoothed off and well integrated, which is always a really nice thing. And like I said, in this spec, I think this paint absolutely sets it off. And the 21-inch alloys, although they can make the ride ever so slightly fidgety at lower speeds, I think it really does make it look the part. You'll have to excuse my shadow as I walk around the car here because we are in really direct sunlight, but you can see just how much this pops gloss in the sun. It really, really looks the part. And at the back of the car, you can see we've got this really kind of squared off section here, so it kind of comes back and is very blocky. And this rear end really reminds me of some of the older Volvo stuff. It looks almost like the rear end of like an XC70 or something like that. Just those lights, the way they integrate, it really reminds me of that. This is kind of what you'd expect to see on the back of something like an EX90, in my opinion. It's a similar sort of car, but obviously Volvo have gone down a slightly more bulbous modern route, whereas this looks quite old school and retro, in my opinion, which I think is really cool in this kind of era of really modern SUVs. This has that kind of more blocky style, and combined with this kind of matte finish which looks almost like a stainless steel, and these wheels which do look a little bit 70s, a little bit 80s maybe, kind of like the older American stuff. I think there's something about this particular spec that makes this car really interesting to look at, and a lot of people stop and stare at it and ask what it is and all that kind of thing, and I think that kind of speaks for itself when it comes to a family SUV. It's certainly very interesting, and in my opinion this is the better looking car compared with the EV9. Of course the EV9 is its own thing, it's a slightly sportier version of this car, but I think this is definitely looking the part on the road. You'll also notice as well, you've got these kind of haunches on the sides as this flares up for the arches. You've got these pop-out door handles. If I click that, it locks the car and they fold in. And then as you approach the car, they pop out nicely, which can be a little bit tricky in the winter, but they also have a nice IONIQ 9 inscription on them there, which is really cool. It really looks the part and they feel great in use as well. And then towards the back of the car here, we have the charge flap, which as you press it will just open electrically, so it makes it super easy to access. And then as you can see, you've got some controls in there and also a charge indicator, making it nice and easy to use. Some people say it is a little bit awkward being in this area of the car, but you know, it gets the job done. As you can see there, the car just locked as I walked away from it, and then I can just press that to close that flap again. So I'd love to know what you think about this styling. It's got some of those really old school touches to it, but I think you can still tell that it is a completely new modern EV. So heading inside the IONIQ 9, these door handles are really nice, high quality. Pull them out and the door is really heavy, feels like a big substantial car. And one thing I will say, I'm not a big fan of this kind of layout on the door card. I think this doesn't scream premium cabin, although the materials are good. So you get nice squishy material at the top here, and you get nice laminated glass, which makes a big difference with the insulation, and you get some kind of perforations on this leather here as well. It's kind of all squidgy and nice, but I don't like this design. It reminds me of a Mini or something. It just doesn't seem quite right. But down here you've got this little perspex part with a drinks holder and a door pocket and your Bose speaker grille on this particular model. And as you step in, you can see also that the bottom is completely shielded, so the sill doesn't get all dirty and mucky, so it's unlikely that you'll get your trousers dirty getting in and out of the car, which is always nice. And then on this one you do have full recline. So this one, if I press this button here, you can see the steering wheel starts to move out of the way and the seat will go all the way back, so it's almost like an airplane seat where you've got that lower thigh support as well, which is really nice. And then you can just press that again to make that all go back to normal, which is always really nice. A big fan of these Nappa leather seats in the Ultimate trim. As you can see, this pan roof makes a big difference to the light in the cabin as well. It does have a sunshade, but it lets loads of light in, which is always really nice. And there's a little inscription on the seat here, and it's just really plush. You've got a lot of different support and options, nice squidgy headrest, which is lovely. On the side of the seats you have the controls to move the seat electrically, and USB-C 100-watt power delivery on the back of each seat to stop cables trailing around. A big floating center console which gives you space in the front, and these seats have full ventilation, massage and so on. And then typically in Hyundai fashion you have down here some of the controls for the car, so you've got like your parking brake and your traction control and so on. You can see the screens in action here as well. There's two screens but they blend quite nicely, and then the new Hyundai style steering wheel, and this is also illuminated. So let's jump in and give you a full tour. So the first thing I notice in here is the noise isolation. You've got nice visibility out, and even the rear here, you can see it looks miles away, the rear of the car, but it's a nice flat rear screen. So even though there's a big C-pillar, you can actually see what's going on back there, which is nice. And of course, your parking cameras, which are accessible via this button here, gives you a nice view out of the car as well. I can go into like a 3D view. You can see I'm not quite in this space here, but you can see around the car, and you can see a top-down view, which works super well. So also as well, you can just see the the parking cameras out of the car, which makes life a bit easier, obviously. So it's nice that that's easily accessible. The cabin itself, I would say material quality is good. However, it's not £80,000 good. Like, everything kind of feels quite solid. There's a few little creaks here and there, but nothing too bad. But just in terms of like the buttons that they use and stuff, the way things function, it doesn't feel like a really super high-end luxury car, like a Range Rover, for example. But obviously it is significantly cheaper than that. So it's something that just take with a pinch of salt. I do find it, however, a little bit classier in here than in the EV9. I think the EV9 is more of a kind of sporty aesthetic in there. Sometimes I prefer the materials. I quite like the two-tone in the EV9, but this is just a little bit more kind of understated, if you like. But the layout is really good. So you've got a nice wheel with capacitive touch sensors. So when you press this button, which is my favorite, this one will automatically steer you on the motorway, lane assist, with one press. So press that, the car starts steering itself, no issues at all. Press it to deactivate. And there's a capacitive sensor in the wheel, so it knows that you're still holding it, so it doesn't constantly need you to move it around. Makes long journeys super nice. And then there's some controls on here for like the screen in front of you, just having a look at some basic information and settings. Nothing too exciting on there, to be honest, but everything is nicely damped. So indicator stalk, for example, when you press that, it feels really nice, and it gives you the blind spot cameras, which is kind of what you'd expect on one of these higher end cars. Obviously this isn't on the base trim, but it's on the Ultimate and above, and that makes a nice difference in maneuverability of the car as well. And then on the other side of the steering wheel, you've got a star shortcut button and your media controls, and also you can press and hold this button to mute the speed limit warning, which is always a really nice touch. And the screens are good. As you can see, this one here, pretty basic. There's a few different modes of this one as well. So if I go into the settings, there is an option that I can change it. There's a more traditional sort of classic dial setup if you want to go to that. And then it will also cycle based on your drive mode as well. So when I toggle this down here, you've got your normal drive and terrain modes. This will flick through them on the screen here. So you've got eco, normal and sports. And then you've also got terrain modes, mud, sand and snow. There's not an awful lot of difference between the two, apart from the power delivery and kind of the throttle response is the main things. It kind of stiffens things up a little bit in sport mode and so on. So and obviously the traction modes are there for your kind of more off-roading capabilities, but it does also have hill descent assist and parking sensors on there. And the cabin is pretty generously spaced out. Driving position can be a little bit weird, I would say. Like, I've had to adjust the steering wheel to be really low to get it how I like it and to be able to rest my elbows, but it's a minor complaint. The head-up display also is good. You can't really see it here, but it does the trick. And all the headlining has like a really nice squishy kind of suede feeling material to it, which does make a nice difference. And the pan roof being included in the spec definitely helps, which is always a really nice touch. And then there's some basic controls up here for your illumination and so on. You can also see up here on this model the noise cancellation acoustic microphones in the cabin. Aside from that, material quality is pretty good. In this one, I've got this kind of weird material here. It looks like metal, but it feels a bit rubbery. I'm not sure whether that will last the test of time, but I do quite like this kind of metal finish here for the calligraphy version. So this is exclusive to the top end trim. Just adds a nice bit of texture to the cabin, I think. And the fact that there's lots of physical controls is always a bonus. So we've got physical climate control here, which you can toggle. Again, doesn't feel super premium for this price of car, but it does the trick. And then there's capacitive touch buttons here for all of your key essentials, such as things like your heated steering wheel, which always is something that I like to put on. We've also got 180 watt power delivery socket there and 3 USB-Cs, and in this one a UV-C thing, which basically will turn this bottom drawer into a kind of cleaning area for your phone, which is quite interesting. So down there you've got that little cleaning dock, and then you've also got a little tray here, rubberized, with a place for your key to live, and then cup holders with nice grips in, always good, and NFC wireless charging dock there. In here, there is a generously sized bit of storage with a tray which is removable, and that unveils the tray below, which is actually part of the rear, so I'll show you that in a moment. And then a glove box, relatively small for the size of car, to be honest. There's a little tray in there though, so there's a couple of little easy storage areas. There's a tray at the top, there's a little area there, and then there's a deep well there. But overall, I would say you're kind of lacking in storage space for a cabin of this size compared to some other more practical cars, but it's going to keep you happy, and it feels spacious is the most important thing, I would say. Your gear select is on the steering wheel stalk here, so start stop there, and then you can toggle it forward, back and park at the end. Nice and easy to use. And the infotainment, typically Hyundai, Very nice, slick interface, works really well. You've got lots of little gadgets on here as well. You've got your EV status here, so the EV thing is quite useful. It will also show you in real time what's using the battery, which is really helpful, and you can adjust different bits in there for your battery conditioning. And then there's also some gimmicks such as like a quiet mode, so that if you've got kids asleep in the back, it will turn off the rear speakers and things like that. So there's quite a few little bits to play around with there, but in general, it's a really easy system to use. There's some nice easy shortcuts, and you've got kind of access to everything that you might need, including all of the stuff to do with your sound, EQ, and all that good stuff. Of course, Apple CarPlay is what I'm using the most on here, but it's also nice you've got some of these super easy to access quick functions from swiping down at the top. But yeah, super intuitive interface, works really well, and the nav that's built in is good enough. And as I say, it's just nice that there's a kind of a plethora of physical controls here that you can still use to adjust temperature. Press the middle for automatic mode, and there are 3 speeds of automatic, which is always a blessing. And then physical controls for track skip, volume, power, and so on. Just means that not everything is through the screen. So yeah, overall quite a nice cabin. Not the best in class, I don't think, but this is a kind of nice place to sit and a nice blend of tech and physical controls. Stepping into the back of the IONIQ 9, you can see in this one we have the 6-seat option with the captain's chairs, and this means that you do get easy access to the back through just pressing the side port here, but you do also have ISOFIX on these seats individually, which is nice. They are the squish between the leather kind though, so you might ruin these seats a little bit. There's no covers to lose though, which is a bonus. And as I mentioned, in this one you do have the kind of the central armrests which adjust, which is nice, and you can swivel these chairs as well. And this goes to show the flat load floor. Like, there is so much space in here. I can actually get in here and stand up. And back here you've also got the rear climate controls with rear heated and ventilated seats. And in the bottom here there is a full pull-out drawer, which is really handy for storage, but you can also use it, you know, the kids might use this as a bin or something if they're snacking as you're going along, or you might stash some, you know, games consoles in there, or some charging cables for your phones to plug into the back of the seats. Just a nice useful space, and you can access that from the center area as well. And also some nice quality inserts in the back of the seats, but not much versatility. There are some other brands now that are putting little phone pockets and iPad holders and stuff like that. There's not so much of that, but what you do also have back here is cup holders in the rear of the seats. As you can see, the lights come back here as well, the ambient lighting, which is all adjustable, and you've got some nice cup holders in the doors. You've also got the ventilation at the top here, which you can open and close a bit like an airplane, and some hooks and lights and things like that. Some more microphones for the noise cancelling back here as well. And the story is very similar in the third row. So generous space actually. I can actually fit in the back of this car at 6 foot just about. And there is electric operation in this one and USB-C. And again, look, another cup holder and some tie hooks and some more ISOFIX. So there's so much versatility when it comes to the rear of this car. And obviously this 6-seat option just gives you that extra bit of space to move around as well. But the 7-seat standard one is going to be a cheaper option overall. Now, I really wasn't joking when I said this was a big car. So as we step into the back, you'll see at 6 foot, I have tons and tons of space here, and I'm not even joking. Like, I can stretch my legs right out even in this position. I've got full recline. You can see I've got the armrest up because I've got the 6-seat captain chairs option. Obviously normally this would just be a bench seat like you would get in any other car, but I can lean right back, and this seat has electric adjustment on it as well, so I can obviously move that forward if I need to get that out of the way so someone can fully stretch out and recline. And this seat also has a full adjustment of its kind of position, so I can move this all the way forward if I need to. You can move it all the way back, and then even better, there's another lever down there which will allow you to do your swivel, so I can actually rotate the seat completely. So if you're kind of getting in and out of the car, I can actually do a full swivel there, pull that lever, round I go, and there we go. I'm actually sitting facing the outside of the car now. I'm not sure that it's particularly easy operation for someone getting in and out of the car, but it is a cool feature to have, and not many cars have it these days. Then there's the business of getting into the third row. Quite easy with this electric pull down. So you press this button and the seat will move forward. Sliding all the way forward, there is actually quite a generous amount of space to get in here, to be honest. So climbing in, even for someone like myself, is quite easy. Obviously, I'm not going to have much room back here in the third row, but it's nice to know that it is possible. So if I was to move this seat back, I mean, bear in mind, I'm pretty much standing up in here now, as you can see. If I move this back to a position where someone might be able to actually sit down, in fairness, I do actually have enough space to sit back here. So yeah, interesting that actually I might get away with this for a shorter journey. I'll show you from my point of view what I'm seeing, and actually, yeah, like I've got enough room to kind of sit here if the seat is in that position. I probably would need to give the person in front ever so slightly more legroom, but it proves that it is possible for a taller adult passenger back here, although I wouldn't recommend it for a long journey. Being able to then adjust this seat all the way forward, I can slide that forward and just get, I mean, look, I'm stretched right out, full recline. Oh man, yeah, this is real luxury back here. So then, cargo area, super practical because of the height of the car. So it's just a simple button back here and can be accessed via the key as well. The key, interestingly, is one of these ones that has the kind of park assist on it as well. So you can move the car forward and backwards out of a parking space. I've left my camera gear in here just to kind of show you roughly what the rear space looks like with that third row up. So with those bits out of the way, what we can do now is have a little explore. We've got some tie hooks in here. We've got also power back here, and also a button for the tailgate as well if you need to escape if you've been trapped back here, and you can see that the seat belts are held in these things as well. So we've also got the second row and third row fold down and some more tie hooks. We've got the vehicle to load power socket back here, so lots and lots of versatility. So what I'm going to do now is just press these buttons to put the third row down. You can see these fold down electrically, nice and easy. The headrests fold away as well to create a really nice flat load area, which is always a nice touch. And this bit of carpet extends out as well. So this bit of carpet can also be removed to reveal underneath a load cover, which can be installed if you've got these seats down. So this load cover can basically go in those sections just there, right the way across to bring that over. But it's nice that it gets stowed out of the way in the bottom of the car. And then of course you've got a little bit of extra storage under there as well for some bits and bobs. So quite a bit of versatility so far. But then there's also the buttons here to release those seats as well, and that immediately creates effectively a completely flat load area. Look at that. So with those seats, whether it's the bench or whether it's the two captain's chairs like this, it will only allow you to fold them down. You will have to come round here to put them back up, which is really a two-handed operation. But obviously you can move these all the way forward as well, but in this position it kind of works because it makes a completely flat load area, a pretty generous size. The only thing is this opening isn't quite as large as some competitors, so taller items you might struggle to actually get in through that gap. But even with those seats up, obviously on this model you've got a large load through area, and this being a pretty much completely flat load floor with a kind of very minimal lip there, it's going to be super easy to actually load those items in and out. So heading out in the IONIQ 9. Now low speed maneuverability actually is better than you might think, to be honest. It's really easy and really works well low down. And one key thing to mention is on the paddles there is the regen braking kind of adaptive, so you can use the paddles to make it more or less aggressive. I normally bring it right down to I-pedal mode, which basically means that it's going to operate in one pedal drive, which is super useful in traffic and in low speed situations like this. It's so smooth and it doesn't really jolt around at low speeds like you might expect with some of these larger vehicles. Kind of their regen braking systems used to be really creaky, but this has been really refined in the kind of most recent iteration, so it makes a nice difference. And as you pull away, whoa, you get a really nice surge of power even in the basic modes. And obviously this being the top end all-wheel drive model, that's going to be noticeable. This is a car that's over 2.7 tons in most instances, so obviously load that up with luggage and people and you're probably looking at like a 3-ton experience here, which is absolutely mega. But what is nice is you can place it quite easily on the road, and at low speeds like this, I'm currently doing about 30, and it's really refined. And of course there's a little bit of body roll on this softer suspension, but I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. It feels all right. And as I'm cruising along here, you notice that the kind of acoustic panels and that kind of thing, it really makes a big difference when it comes to the interior isolation. And this noise cancelling microphones in this higher end model as well do make a difference, because they pump in noise a bit like how your headphones do into the stereo to make it even less prominent. So even though I've got these larger tyres, I'm not hearing too much tyre noise and road noise, and the car is manoeuvrable enough because I've got these blind spot cameras on this model as well, makes it really easy to use. But one thing I will say is this definitely isn't as sharp as the EV9. The EV9 just has a little bit of an edge when it comes to maneuverability, chuckability, and just feels a little bit more poised and precise than this. This is more of a high-speed wafter, so I'm going to be taking it onto the motorway to do just that. Let's take it around this roundabout and just see how it fares, because I'm expecting it to fall apart a little bit here. I've got the regen set to high. Let's go into the sportier drive mode. I don't think that makes much difference in terms of the handling capabilities, but it certainly makes the throttle response a lot more sharp. I mean, as I go round, there's not too much drama, to be fair. Yeah, you can see the kind of the G-force as I move out of some of these bends. There is definitely a little bit more body roll and that kind of thing than in like an EV9, for example, but it comes to a nice smooth stop in traffic. The iPedal mode I think makes such a difference, but it is obviously nice that you can press the pedals to free it up and drive it more like a normal car if you want to, so that's always a benefit. But sort of sub 6 seconds to 60 in a car of this size feels like you're moving a planet. It's absolutely nuts. I'll come out of here onto a 50 road now. Oh yeah, the nose lifts up and the car just surges you back in your seat, and it's really nice to have this power on tap. I would say the entry-level rear-wheel drive car is not going to feel sufficient, but that mid-level one should be fine. This is a bit excessive if anything, but I love it. Yeah, immediately sharper than an EV9, no it's not, but it is comfier than an EV9, and it's up there with the likes of those EX90s and so on. I can get a decent driving position. Like I said earlier, it is a little bit odd to get exactly where you need to be to get my elbows to fit. It's probably suited for a slightly larger person really, but I can still get pretty comfortable, and overall I would say it's going to be really lovely on a long journey for sure, even for those rear passengers. And the fact that I can fit in the third row, well, it just goes to show how big this car is really. You soon get used to its size, and it's effortless in traffic and effortless power delivery when you're in a situation that requires it. So really, it's a super lovely place to sit. And when you combine it with all these creature comforts in here, you know, you've got your ventilated heated seats, you've got your heated steering wheel, those are included across the range, which is always a nice touch. And in this one, I've got the blind spot cameras, and that one-touch driving assist that I'm about to activate on the motorway makes such a difference. But it's so quiet, even in traffic, I can't really hear any of the cars around me. I don't know if you can see out my windows and stuff, probably not right this second, but this is a super, super busy environment I'm in now. I've got cars all around me, and you just can't really hear it, can you? Oh, a nice big surge of power. I've got the active sound design turned off, so they can pump in some kind of sporty noise that sounds like an engine, but personally, that is not for me. I don't particularly like that stuff, so it's only when you really try and chuck it in that it falls apart a little bit, but it's got so much oomph, and it powers the wheels with the torque in the right way that it really feels like it's pulling you out of that corner. Which does make a nice difference, because you kind of expect it to be a little bit understeery because of the weight, but you don't really experience that unless you're pressing on really hard. The only thing is, even in the sport mode, as you come off the accelerator, there's so much weight and inertia in this car that it takes a split second for it to come off the power, so you kind of need to do it slightly early. It's not going to be immediate like it is in a Tesla, for example. And this is where the car really excels. I'm now doing sort of national limit on this motorway here. Let's come across a lane. I'm going to press the one-touch driver assist feature, and that is now steering me. So I can control the pedals if I want to, or I can put it in full cruise. But right now the car is steering me in lane, and all I have to do is keep a hand on the wheel, because it knows it's there because of that capacitive sensor. So all I'm doing is controlling the throttle and braking input. And obviously on one pedal drive, there's really not much work for me to do. So no, it's not autonomous, but on a long journey, I really don't have to put much effort in at all. And that right there is where this car really excels. It's the more comfortable version of this platform, I believe. An EV9, of course, is still going to be super comfy, but this just adds that extra little layer of plushness to it, even with these larger wheels. The ADAS systems have been improved too, so they're not quite as intrusive. So I'm poodling along the motorway now. If I try and stray lane, it will tell me, it will vibrate the wheel and it will give me a noise, but it won't do that in really weird situations around town like it used to a few years ago in these cars. And when you consider this is the same size as a full fat Range Rover effectively, interior space probably even better because of the fact it's got a flat floor plan, and it's got more power than most of those Range Rovers as well, unless you look at the really high end. This starts to actually look like a bit of a bargain. And that's crazy to say at a sort of 80 grand price point, but once this has been knocked off on the forecourt a little bit, it's actually going to be quite a nice proposition, isn't it, for kind of luxury SUV owner. And some people obviously don't like the idea of the badge, and that's where I guess Genesis comes in, because Genesis is their kind of luxury segment. So their higher end cars with the EV platform is going to be where to go if you want that extra touch of class over this. And the EX90 as well, another full-sized electric SUV. Again, very plush, and on the road, quite a sight to behold. If you're going to be B-road bashing a lot, then the slightly smaller, slightly more agile EV9 is probably going to be the way to go. But in terms of just wafting along, this feels to me much like the Range Rover experience that a lot of people really look for. I think the only thing that would make this a lot better is if it had a really clever adaptive air suspension setup like some of the rival cars. Let's have a stomp on the brakes here. Actually, not as bad as you might expect at all, to be honest. It's not exactly gonna stop on a dime, but for a big heavy car like this, I was expecting almost zero brake pedal feel and a lot of juddering as I kind of hurtle forward, but actually quite responsive. And if you're in iPedal mode, you're not going to really need to use the physical brakes that much anyway. You're going to rely a lot on the regen, as I am now sitting in traffic. Normally I'll be quite peeved sitting here in traffic. It's one of the things that I hate about life, is just sitting there wanting to make progress and not being able to. But I can sit back in this super comfy chair, I can press this button here to enable my massage function, and I can just relax in this almost complete silence. It's just a really nice place to sit and spend some time, and I don't really care that I'm sitting here in traffic, to be honest, because I'm actually probably more comfortable than I'd be sitting home on the sofa. The other thing is the warranty as well. With Hyundai and Kia, I mean, Hyundai offer normally 5 years unlimited mileage, and also you get 8 years battery warranty. So even if you're buying a few years old, slightly used, it's probably still going to make a pretty good proposition. So there we go, the IONIQ 9. I think a fantastic luxury SUV in the EV world. But there are definitely cars out there that are sharper and slightly classier for this money. But I think in the right spec, at the right price, this is really one to watch. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, give it a share, subscribe. I really do appreciate it. It goes such a long way, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.